Hey everyone, it's Karen Barnes Shepperson here, and I want to welcome you to FabFit TV. For those of you guys who are just tuning in, thank you so much. I help women to break the diet mindset so that they can live a lifestyle of consistency and sustainability. So, in order to have that consistency and sustainability, you have to have good habits. And so many people always say to me, like, I have no willpower. I call bull hockey because it's not willpower that gets you the results. It's we don't have good habits. We don't have good routines. And when we don't have good habits, we don't have good routines, there's no way we're going to get consistency, and without consistency, we're not going to get results. Right? So it's like remember when you were a kid and you played dominoes and like you kind of set them up, and or you would see those people who would set up all those like crazy domino structures, and they would all kind of like, you just press one or two and they would just all kind of scatter around. That's what routines and habits are, right? It's like, Jenga. If I pull the wrong pin out, everything falls apart. So I want to teach you how to be like the Jenga master, the domino master, so that you have these strong routines and you have these strong habits. And I want you to think about like a habit. So the two like habits that we do every single day that we don't even think about. So every morning, I hope, you brush your teeth and you wash your face. And so when you do that, do you pay attention to the order that you do it? So do you brush your teeth first, then wash your face? Or do you wash your face and brush your teeth? And you probably never thought of it like that, right? So someone must have taught you that, or you have a preference to how you put one or the other. The same thing comes to like your coffee. If you drink coffee or tea in the morning, do you have a habit of what you put in first? Do you put cream then sugar? Do you put sugar then cream? Right? So all of those things all are habits, but you don't pay attention to them because it's just things that you just do, and you don't know how not to do it because you've ingrained it for so long. So that's where you want to come to when it comes to healthy habits. And so one of the biggest things I find is that so many people, they write down this like litany of things that they want to do, and then they try to do it all at the same time. And then they're like, I stink. How come I can't do this? And they tumble back down the hill. And some people dust themselves off, and some people don't. Or they dust themselves off for a little bit, and then again try to do 400 things, and then fall down back down the hill. So tonight I really want to say to you, I want you to start thinking about how can I make my healthy habits like the cream and sugar in my coffee, like the brushing of my teeth and the washing of my face, right? It's just something that I do. It's not something that is a chore. And in the beginning, I'm not going to, give you rose-colored glasses and blow smoke up your skirt and say that it's going to be like presto changeo magico, you're going to have this habit. It's going to take you a little time. And I would probably say some habits will take you a little bit easier, and some habits might take a little bit longer to ingrain. And, for a really long time, there was this whole, I'm going to call it a myth. Yeah, I'm going to call it a myth. That it takes 21 days to create a habit. And so how I'm going to blow that myth up is that in the 60s, there was a plastic surgeon that was doing nose jobs. Yeah, nose jobs. And it took about 21 days before the patient started to really kind of associate with the new nose, and didn't feel like when they saw themselves in the mirror, that they were looking at a stranger. So that's where we got that 21 days. So it's plastic surgery. How can plastic surgery equate to a habit? I got nothing. So if you got something, hit me up, because I want to know, how is that even possible? So what they have now done, true research, and they've said that it takes about 66 days for us to start to get into that automatic groove. Stephen Covey called it sharpening the saw. Like a way to get to a point where we're just know what our priorities, we know what our habits are, got our routines, and we're now just doing it on lock. It's just what we do, and we don't even think about it anymore. Just like the order of cream and sugar in our coffee. And habits are responsible for our success, and that's the biggest challenge, is that so many people think that there's this, magic meal plan, this magic workout, this magic coach. And I'm a great coach, but what I do is I help you figure out what your priorities are. Because when you figure out your priorities, then you and I can say, okay, of all the things that you want to do, what feels easy? And we start there. Versus, sure, take all 400 of these and rock on with your bad self. So I always say to people, I always think people kind of do this like 6-step process. And the first step is getting clear on what it is that you want to accomplish as part of this new habit. If you wanted to create a habit of working out, if you wanted to create a habit of eating healthy, what's the outcome that you're looking for? Because if you can get connected to that, then when stuff goes awry, and stuff's going to happen, S is going to hit the fan, it's going to be going back to the reason why you want to do it, that clarity that you have, that connection that you have, that's going to keep you going. Because it's life. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be times that you get sick. There's going to be times your boss dumps a lot of work on your desk. There's going to be times that your kid gets sick. There's going to be times that you just don't feel like it. But it's hooking back into that why is what's going to get you back on the road again, versus staying at the rest stop for hours and hours on end. And once you get clear on that why, then it's like, okay, what's the plan? If I always say to people, when you go on vacation, I think we spend more time thinking about our vacations than we spend on thinking about, I don't even think we spend that much time thinking about our retirement planning or buying a house, like big things. If I were to go on vacation, I would say, okay, I'm going to go to Jamaica. And then I would say, okay, I'm going to Jamaica. And then I would think, okay, well, I got to get there. So how the heck am I going to get there? So you would figure out how to get there. You would figure out where you're going to stay. And then you would start thinking about, well, what am I going to do there? So the same logic that you apply to your vacation has to apply to getting healthy or fit. So it's like, I think I've shared this before on the show, but if not, brand new. In a year, I plan to go to Hawaii. So right now, I'm like, okay, if I want to go to Hawaii, what do I got to do? And my connection to Hawaii is, yes, it's absolutely beautiful, but I want to be my fittest person when I go there. So I've created my list of, clearly my logistical list, but then I've also created my fitness and my health list. And so that's my connection. That's my clarity that, come April of 2019, I'm going to be going there. And so these are the things that I want to accomplish. And so when I made that list, I said, okay, what's the easiest for me right now? And I always say to people that habits come at whatever your speed of change. And the hard part, especially in this day and age, things come to us. So if you think about it, if I wanted to buy this computer mouse, I could go on Amazon.com right now, and what's today, Tuesday? By Friday at the latest, it would be at my doorstep. We think the same thing about our body. We think that if today you say, Kim, you are so right. Yes, that's what I want. I want to have a booty you can bounce a quarter off of. I want shoulders you can hang a coat off of. And I want to be able to eat healthy all the time. And that better show up on my doorstep on Friday. I'm waiting. And unfortunately, our bodies aren't like Amazon Prime. It's not a 2-day thing. It could be a 2-week thing. It could be a 2-year thing, depending on your pace of change. And so I always say to my clients, you have to pick the lane that you want to be in when it comes to making a change and when it comes to creating a habit. because creating a habit is making a change. So I ask you, are you someone who, like, if you think of it as a highway, are you someone who gets on the highway and you drive 55 miles an hour? And that you feel comfortable at 55 miles an hour, you're in no rush. Or are you someone who's in that middle lane who, you know what, at times you can speed it up and you might be doing 65, you might be doing 70. Or you're that person who fist fights their way all the way to that far left lane and you just gun it, right? You're Speedy Gonzalez. So you have to decide where you are and be okay with where you are. And it's okay that if you're driving 55 miles an hour, because what happens is if I'm someone who's driving 55 miles an hour, I start drinking what a mentor of mine calls compare-schlager, and I get drunk and hungover with compare-itis. And I'm looking left and I'm looking right and I'm saying I should be further along and I'm not there. You know, it's not possible for me to think about going to the gym 5-6 days a week. Right now, all I have is 1 or 2 days. And you have to be comfortable that, you know what, these 1 or 2 days is going to start right now. And then as I grow my habit muscle, it's going to become a routine. And then that routine is going to become a habit. And then that habit is going to just become something that you do. And it's going to lead to consistency. And that consistency is going to lead to my results. But what we want is we want to think it, and we want that result just like that. And you know, unfortunately, there is, you know, stepping stones that it takes to get to those results. So you need to be comfortable with the pace that you're able to move with. And you know, think about it. Not everything you might move at 55 miles an hour. Some things might be pretty easy for you so that you'll just move right at 80 miles an hour. You know, for a lot of my clients, working out, they're in the fast lane. They're like, yep, got it. I can work out. I know exactly how to do that. But then when it comes to the nutrition piece, they're like, ooh, I'm over here in the slow lane, trying to figure this all out. And sometimes I need to take an exit. Sometimes I need to take a rest stop. So figure it out and be okay with it. And think about to yourself, are you interested or committed? Okay? So here's the distinct difference. If I'm interested, the first sign of trouble, I bail. I'm out. I don't care. There's no coming back. But also if I'm not perfect. So there's two sides of that interested coin, because some people want to come in, and being a beginner sucks sometimes, but you have to know that sometimes being a beginner, you're just the very beginning of your journey. It's like learning to speak a foreign language and expecting after maybe week 1 being able to have a fluent conversation. And you just have to accept that, you know what, eventually I'm going to be fluent, but right now I'm just learning how to say where the bathroom is, order a drink, and say I'm tired. I think that's like the 4 things I can say in Spanish. So I want you to think about that, you know, when you're trying to race to the finish line. And then if you're committed, anytime you get knocked down, you slide down that big hill, you're dusting yourself off and you're like, okay, well, I found a way that failed, so we're not going to do that again, and I'm going to try it this way. And you're just going to keep plugging along, you know, what's that children's story? The little engine that could. You're the little engine that could. So you're just plugging along, tugging along, and getting stuff done. And as we do that, the biggest thing I encourage you as you do this, start creating small stackable wins. So a lot of us, well, I live here in Boston, I live here in Boston, and when David Ortiz was playing for the Red Sox, every single time that man went up to bat, I don't know how he didn't feel this pressure, God love him, but every single time that man would go up to bat, everyone would expect a huge play, be it a home run, base clearing home run, fans cheering, standing in the aisles, the whole bit. But sometimes he just got a single. And sometimes he struck out. But you know what? He was beloved. And he showed up every single day and did his darndest to perform. So I want you to think about that for yourself. Not every day could be a home run. Not every day is going to be that way. Some days it's just a simple thing like, I was able to get breakfast in today. You know, we all have those kind of like those crazy days in our life. You know, I remember when I was working in corporate, there were times that like I would come to work with all the intentions of like, you know, making my oatmeal or eating my yogurt, and you know, someone would distract me in the morning and I'm in a meeting, and then I'm here and then I'm there, and the next thing you know, my warm yogurt's sitting on my desk and it's 2:00 in the afternoon. So, you know, those days happen, and I want you to give yourself that grace and that space that, you know what, that's just a moment, and the next moment's going to be better. So I want you to think about, how do I create these small wins? Because the more small wins I have, the more I feel excited to try to do maybe the next thing, or maybe something even a little bit bigger. So that it's like, you know, it's step by step by step. You know, I think the saying is, how do you eat an elephant? And they say, you know, one bite at a time. That's exactly what it is. You know, I wish that I could tell you, oh my gosh, girl, you're gonna skip ahead. Not many of us are gifted in the not many of us are that gifted when it comes to getting healthy and fit. Many of us need that extra leg up. Many of us need that extra, like, you know, kick in the tush to help us get along. That person who is cheering for us, that person who's helping us hold ourselves accountable, because it's really easy to give up on ourselves when we feel like, you know, we're drinking that Compeerschlager and we look at Sally Sue and they're doing this, and Sally and you know, Jenny's over here is doing that. Stop. Pump the brake on that. And, you know, focus on, you know, thoughts become things. And the more you think that you can't, the more you're going to convince yourself that you can't. Because our ego wants to protect us. Our ego wants us to stay the same. And the more we stay the same, the more our ego is like, I don't have to do nothing. I'm just chilling. And when we try to do something different, our brain has to think. Well, it has to do things. And let me just be honest with you. Our bodies, our brains, we're lazy. It doesn't like to do any more than it has to. So your habits are like, that's why habits become autopilot, because your brain doesn't want to do any extra thinking. And so when you try to change, you try to do a new habit, you try to create a new pattern up in here, your brain's like, oh, hang on. We're not ready for that. And so it does whatever it can to try to make you feel safe. Right? That's the reptilian brain that's still in us after all these million years of evolution. It's still trying to say, do not leave the cave or a saber-toothed tiger will come and grab you. Even if it's just you trying to quit smoking, you try to go to the gym, it still clicks into that like saber-toothed tiger fear. I don't know, maybe someday, you know, they'll figure that whole reptilian brain out, but so far we got nothing other than they can identify it. So one of the biggest things in, there's a book called The Power of Habit, and in the show notes I'll put a link to it. And in the Power of Habit, it talks about, you know, creating this habit loop. And what it does is, like, you need a trigger, you need something that sets the routine, and then you need a reward. So you need a trigger, you need an action, and then you need some type of benefit to make you, you know, think about Pavlov's dog. You know, they go, you know, as soon as the bell rang, they got a treat, and they were like, this is amazing, right? So that's what we're trying to set ourselves up with. We're trying to create our own Pavlov's dogs. So I was trying to drink more water in the morning. And so what I would do is, I like to drink coffee in the morning. So in order for me to have my cup of coffee, I had to have a glass of water. So coffee was my trigger. So water was my trigger. I had to drink it. I had to drink a full 8-ounce glass of water. and my reward was the coffee. So that's how I was able to start drinking more water in the morning. So I created my own little loop. If you think about, we have these little loops throughout our life. The doorbell rings, we answer it, right? And 9 times out of 10 at my house, it's Amazon dropping something off. So I do get a reward. But I want you to think about, of the things that you're trying to create, can you create that habit loop? Can you create, that trigger? Can you create the action that you want to take? And then can you create that reward so that, you have this like wonderful closed loop that's taking you through. And the more I'm able to do that, the more I'm able to build consistency. And it's that consistency that's what's going to deliver my results. It's that consistency that's going to stop me from being on these like crash diets. It's my consistency that's going to stop me from, one of my biggest pet peeves is, people will come to my class and I'll be like, and I haven't seen them in months. I'm like, hey, I haven't seen you in months. What's going on? Well, I'm going on vacation next week, so I got to get it all in. Okay, so you're going on vacation. So you think 5 days is going to make up for 5 months of doing. How do I say this nicely? No. If you spent 5 months doing nothing and you're going to spend 5 days crushing it, why? So what? And then they are like, oh my God, I'm so sore, I'm so this, blah, blah, blah. Well, because you're like, your body is not a crash. Like when you study, your body isn't one of these things that you can kind of cram for. You need the consistency, and that's when you're going to start to see strength gains. That's when you're going to see fat loss. That's when you're going to see the scale budge. But when you go with these like big feasts and famines of working out and big feasts and famines of eating, you might see minimal changes, but they're not lasting. As soon as you go back to your sitting on the bench, waiting for the next vacation, it's all going to come right back. And so you're going to be in this constant yo-yo state. And let me just tell you, your metabolism, it don't like that. It don't like that. So, as I'm wrapping up here, I want you to think about, how do you take it slow, right? Make my list. Then identify what is easiest for me right now. And identify, am I, Speedy Gonzalez? Am I Middle Mary? Am I, Slow Sally? And you just decide where you are on that path. And think about when you've tried to do this before, where have you had success? And build on that, because success leaves clues, right? If you've had some success, think about why you've had the success, how you've had the success. And if that's something that you need to have a conversation with a coach about, that's what a coach is there. A coach isn't just the person who just says, do this. Because if I don't understand why you want to do it and all the intricacies behind it, then my program's not going to work for you. Unless we really get underneath the hood and we can help you dissect everything. So that way I'm able to hold you accountable, but I'm also able to give you things that you're able to do based on where you want to go. And find people who have what you want. Find someone who has the consistent lifestyle. Find someone who has just that has an amazing routine. They have amazing habits that you're like, hook me up, because that's what I want. And that's really what I'm going to spend most of the summer talking with my clients about, is all about the power of routine. Because I know that my morning routine, that sets me up for success for the rest of the day. My evening routine sets me up so that I get to bed on time and that I'm able to get up at 6 a.m. So I want you to think about, do you have any kind of routines? You have, and it doesn't have to be a morning routine. Like, some people aren't morning people. I get that. I wasn't. I had to transition to it. But if you're like, oh, heck no, I don't want to transition, then think about, do you have any routines? And so that's something that I'm going to be doing a lot more, having a lot more conversations about, is routines. And so do me a favor and check out my blog, which is fabfitsquad.com, and you'll see a lot of conversations about habits and routines. Also, if you follow me on social media, again, talking a lot about habits and routines, because I feel like if we can start getting these habits and routines down now, that way when school comes and everyone, like, it always happens, I feel like every year when the kids go back, well, my routine's out of whack. No, you let your routine get out of whack, because if you already had these time frames established, all you would have to do is just shift it a little bit based on what's going on with your kids, or involve the kids into the routine, right? Versus letting your kids become the disruptor, making your kids the excuse. Put them into the process, because I have a lot of mommies who they put their kids into the process, and when they put their kids into the process, they don't miss a beat. It's just like, this is what we do, and they don't even think twice about it. So definitely think about it. It's all about routines, because routines create habits. Habits create consistency. Consistency creates results. And at the end of the day, most of us are all about seeking the results. So I'm going to go on hiatus for just a little bit. It's summer and I have a few travel plans. So yes, if you like Instagram stories, just check me out. You can find me on Instagram at Kim Jefferson Coach. You can find me on Facebook at Kim Jefferson. And then you can also find me on my website at fabfitsquad.com. If you guys have any questions, comments, please hit me up, squadleader@fabfitsquad.com. I will be back at the end of August, which is like, whoa, that seems like so far, yet I'm going to blink and I'm going to be sitting back in this chair. I hope you guys have a fabulous summer and that you're doing some amazing things, because summer is my jam, and I'm just going to ride out this warm weather as long as Mother Nature blesses us. Have a